Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalamu alaikum. I am Muhammad Hassan Ashraf. Today we are going to discuss our lecture of our subject Zoogegraphy and Paleontology, and the title of our discussion is Fossils and Fossilization. Firstly, we will define what is a fossil. So fossils can be defined as these are organisms or evidences of organisms present in the past that have become part of earth crust. Only a fraction of actual flora or fauna is usually preserved. So fossils are actually not complete body parts. These are the remnants of the body parts which were preserved in the earth crust in the past times. So these can be full body parts, or these are the some parts of the body of the organisms which were present in the past. So for the process of fossilization, there are very rare chances, there are not very clear chances that a body become fossilized after its death. So ratio of fossilization is about 1 out of 1000 organisms. The 1000 organisms died. Among those, only one organism have the chance to become fossilized. Time for fossilization. The time taken for fossilization is about 10,000 years under favorable conditions. Here in this chart, different types of fossils are explained. Fossils are basically divided into two categories. One is the altered fossils and other is the unaltered fossil. Unaltered is further subdivided into two categories. One is the complete unaltered and other is incomplete unaltered fossils. While altered fossils are further classified into three major categories, which consist of petrified fossils, molds and casts, trace fossils. Petrified fossils formed under these three mechanisms. These are the three mechanisms which are responsible for formation of the petrified fossils. The first one is permineralization, then mineralization, and the third one is the carbonization. We will discuss detail of these mechanisms in upcoming slides. Molds and casts can be pseudomorph or true morph, while trace fossils are further of these three categories. One is the tracks and trails, other are the coprolites and gastroliths. So here is overall a summary of different types of fossils. We will discuss each type in detail in upcoming slides. Firstly, we will define what is unaltered fossils. When the organic parts remain unchanged for a considerable period after burial, they change into a fossil which is unaltered fossil, means the original body is preserved in its original form. There is no change in the body during the process of fossilization. These ultimately appear without any change in chemical equilibrium with preserving material. The body of the organism which is going to be fossilized is in chemical equilibrium with the preserving material, and the preserving material can be the ice, oil or sediment. Among these, the preserving material can be one of these three mediums which help to preserve the fossil in its unaltered form. Here is further subcategory of the unaltered fossil is complete unaltered fossil. Complete unaltered fossil consists of the organisms which are called as the woolly mammoth. This is a diagram of a baby mammoth frozen in glacier ice that was found in Russia in 1989. So complete unaltered fossils consist of complete carcasses of large mammals, means the whole body is preserved in the form of unaltered fossil. Other example of the unaltered fossil is woolly rhinoceros and bison. And these complete unaltered fossils, they are mostly found in frozen soil of Siberia and Alaska. Woolly mammoths, they were present in Pleistocene period. First woolly mammoth that was present was discovered about 30,000 years ago. Since nicely preserved that they had fresh food present in the buccal cavity. So the ice is so much good preserving material that even the food they were ingesting was preserved in their buccal cavity. And at the present time, we have at least 50 complete carcasses of the woolly mammoth. We have 50 complete bodies, dead bodies of the mammoths at the present time, which is preserved in different zoos, different museums of the world. Woolly rhinoceros, they were preserved in the oil saturated soil in Poland. The complete body fossilized was of bison that was also found in the Siberia. Similarly, there are different invertebrates are also found like insects and other small animals which were preserved in the amber, and amber is released from the plant or tree body parts. So amber is a good preserving material. Even in the amber, microstructure is nicely preserved in amber. As we can see in this picture, the spider is preserved in amber, which even contain its antenna and its legs preserved in their original form. So amber is another preserving material for preserving the whole body parts. Desert. The next preserving medium is desert. Ice is a good preservation medium as we studied earlier, because in ice we found many whole carcasses of bison, mammoths in their original form in the Alaska and Siberia. But deserts are also very good preserving material, because in the desert there are winds which can easily use to bury a dead organism. Wind, they buried in shifting sand, because wind is responsible for shifting of sand. So the organism which die in desert, they were buried in shifting sand, and they were well preserved skin. They have well preserved skin and even the soft parts, because in this desert the dehydration occurs, and the dehydration prevents the breakdown of body of the dead organism. Here is the second category, is incomplete unaltered fossils. These are the fragmentary fossil remains, because these are the incomplete, so they are not the whole body parts, they are only just small body fragments which preserved during the process of fossilization. They can be pieces of wood, they can be bones of vertebrates, or they can be shell of invertebrates. These are well preserved with little or no change since Cretaceous period in clay. So this is the time period, Cretaceous period, they were preserved during that time. These wood, vertebrate bone and invertebrate shell, they were preserved in the past, and they are preserved during the time period which is the Cretaceous period, and their preservation medium is clay, means they are found in the sedimentary rocks. Altered fossils. These are the fossils in which there are different changes occur with the passage of time. So in the altered fossils, changes occurs during fossilization, means they are not in their original form. The shape can be maintained, but the different body chemical and composition of the body is not maintained during the process of fossilization. So in this altered fossil, no body part of body. These are not the true body parts. These can be footprints, these can be tracks, these can be trails, or these can be coprolites. Here is the mechanism of unaltered fossil formation. One is the petrification, and the fossils formed by the petrification are called as the petrified fossils. So these are the body parts become denser due to deposition of sediments or minerals from percolating water. Means the body when is going to be fossilized, the original body composition is replaced by the sediments or minerals through the water. The pores or spaces present in the body are filled by certain materials, such as the example bones. The pores in the bones, because the bones is are also type, one of the type of the bone is the spongy bones. So the pores in those parts are filled by different materials or minerals which were present in the surrounding medium where the bones are going to be fossilized. These include permineralization, mineralization, and carbonization to form. So, petrified fossils are formed by these three mechanisms. One is the permineralization, second one is the mineralization, and the carbonization. Here is the diagram of a wood which is petrified by these mechanisms. Permineralization. When the skeleton of organism remain is porous, that is has empty spaces, the spaces may be filled with materials from surrounding material. This is called permineralization. For example, this happens in case of vertebrate bones, means the porous body of the organism which is going to be fossilized is filled with some minerals comes from the surrounding medium, and they are deposited in the body or the inside cavity of the organism, where they become hardened and ultimately they become fossilized. So here is the diagram of a permineralized bryozoan from the Devonian time period. Second is replacement or mineralization. Skeleton may get dissolved or replaced by the minerals present in the environment. So this is the, as the name indicates, is replacement, means the body minerals are replaced with the minerals present in the surrounding medium. Microstructure is usually finally preserved. The structure, even at the microscopic or level or microstructure, are preserved by this process. The minerals of the body are replaced continuously with the minerals from the surrounding. This can happen in the plant tissues or wood, but this is rare in animal skeletons because skeletons are pretty much hard as compared to wood. Silica usually replaces the organic minerals. During this replacement, the mineral which replaces the organic body composition is the silica. The third process for the petrification is distillation or carbonization. In this, volatile or substances of organic remains may sometimes be distilled away, leaving behind a film of carbon to indicate the outline of the skeleton. This can happen in the case of leaves and in case of ichthyosaur. Ichthyosaur is the type of the dinosaurs. So in this mechanism, distillation or carbonization, particularly those compounds which are volatile in nature, means they can evaporate. They are evaporated slowly, and remaining they left behind the only remains or the sign of the body part. So this can be happen in case of leaves. The petrified leaves are found which are formed by the process of the distillation or carbonization. Similarly, the ichthyosaurus skeleton is also found to be preserved by this mechanism. Molds and casts. At the time of deposition around organic material, the skeleton may be dissolved, leaving behind a cavity which is called a mold. Here is a mold. In this, there is a cavity remain, which is the cavity is the mold. It indicates the external morphology of the organism. Here in this diagram, you can see the external structure or external morphology of the organism. Here is the bivalve mollusk. You can observe that is preserved. When this cavity is filled with plastic substances, we may get cast. But when this mold, which was formed, is slowly filled by some substances, which is here called as the plastic substance. Plastic because they can attain the shape similar as mold, because they can change their shape similar to the mold. That's why here the word plastic is used. So, as a result, when this mold is filled with plastic substance, another structure form which is called as the cast. So, here is the mold and here is its cast. Again, here is another diagram of the mold and here is a cast. Pseudomorph. If mold is filled by minerals in nature like quartz, we may get a natural cast, also called a pseudomorph. A true morph. If the cavity remains with original skeleton, we may get a true morph. So, if the cavity formed is filled with a artificial substance or the substance which is come from the nature, from the surrounding medium, and fill that cavity, that mineral can be quartz or some other else, which fill that cavity, a morph is formed which is called as the pseudomorph. While during the formation of a true morph, the original body minerals remain deposited in the mold. Internal casts. These are the formed when the shell is filled with sediments and the shell is later dissolved, leaving behind a cast which indicates the internal impression. Imprints. These are the molds of thin organisms like leaves, are commonly known as imprints. So these are related to only some sign or symptoms or small remains of the body parts, just like remains of leaves. Coprolites. Coprolites are the trace fossils. These are droppings of the animals, and droppings of animals means they are the fossilized fecal material. These include undigested hard parts of plants and animals that were eaten. Coprolites indicate food and food habits of animals, for example, carnivorous, herbivorous, or scavengers. If in the coprolite we found some bone like material, we can say that organism was carnivorous in the past. If we receive only the woody parts in the fecal material, we can say that organism was herbivorous and eat plant parts like wood. And if we can say scavenger, if both type of materials can be found in the fecal material, then the organism can be declared as a scavenger. So coprolites are the materials which can indicate the feeding habits of organism in the past. The chemical analysis of coprolite indicate undigested remains of eaten animals. So in this we can found undigested remains of organism that was eaten by the organism whose coprolite was fossilized. So Here is the diagram of a coprolite, that is Ichthyosaurus coprolite. Tracks. Animals leave impressions of certain body parts on mud or sand during travel, for example, footprints, trails, and tracks. Whether the animal were bipedal or quadrupedal means the tracks indicate the mode of locomotion, that is, either the organism is bipedal or quadruped. Quadruped means either it can walk on 2 foot or it can walk on the 4 legs. So it can indicate the mode of locomotion. So it also indicate whether they moved by jumping, crawling, agile, or ponderous, or running. Means also it can tell the organism how they can move. Mean they can adapt jumping mode of locomotion, or they crawl on the ground, they are fast movers, or they are slow movers, or they are runners. So on the basis of these tracks we can indicate the mode of locomotion. Generally preserved in semi-arid or arid areas, footprints occurring in series may indicate the size of the foot, length of limbs, and type of gait. So these tracks are generally preserved in semi-arid or arid areas, meaning the deserted areas where the sand or some other material covers the foot or footprint or track. These footprints occurring in series may indicate the size of the foot. The footprints which are here, just like here, they are in a series manner. So on the basis of this type of footprints, we can say the size of the foot, we can estimate the length of the limb, because they have a specific ratio, head, foot and limb ratio, and type of gait means how they move, jumping, walking, running, crawling, what type of gait they use. Many footprints of dinosaurs are found in red stone in USA. These are the footprints of the dinosaurs. Trails. These are impression of the body of animals during crawling on earth. For example, earthworm. Here is the example of a fossilized trail which is formed by the crawling of earthworm under the ground. Next is the gastroliths. Gastro means stomach, liths mean earth. So these are the stony materials found in the stomach of different organisms present in the past, particularly the dinosaurs. These are small, rounded, smooth stones present in rib cages of dinosaurs. These were used for crushing the food. They are also considered trace fossils. Next is index fossils. These index fossils indicate a certain geological time period. They are short, vertical, and wide horizontal distribution. They indicate the age of rocks. For example, dinosaurs are index fossils of Mesozoic period. Trilobites are index fossil of Paleozoic period, and Hipparion, a three-toed horse, was present in Cenozoic era, means Pliocene epoch. So index fossils actually they indicate a specific time period. Those fossils represent the time period in which they were present, and other organisms present in the same layer of the earth also explains the same era of time when they were present. So just like dinosaurs, they are indicative of the time period which is the Mesozoic time period. Biostratonomy. The study of all the processes that occurred between the onset of death, struggle, and final burial. All the steps they are called as the biostratonomy. And the fossilization is the study of all the processes that occurred between the covering of the animal in some comparable medium and formation of the fossils. The complete mechanism is called as the fossilization, during which an organism, starting from its death, its burial, and ultimately its conversion into fossil, all the sequences, all the steps are collectively termed as the fossilization. Here is a simple diagram explaining the fossilization mechanism. Firstly, here is the first part indicate the death of the organism. Then here is the part which explain the burial. Then these body parts of the organism are replaced by the minerals present in the surrounding medium explained in this area. Here after that the replacement of the minerals, the organism is going to be converted into a stony material, and ultimately that stony material is preserved in the earth crust, that is sealed in rocks. So this is a simplest mechanism or simple steps for fossilization. Fossilization depends on two factors: nature of the animal and the environment where the organism died, type of the environment. Nature of animal. In the animal, the hard parts have better chances of fossilization, like bones, teeth, shells, while soft parts, just like meat and those parts having high water content, are quickly decomposed by bacteria and other forces after death. Under remarkable conditions, soft bodied animals, for example jellyfish, and insects may be preserved as impressions. So, animals' nature and its body parts' nature is very much matters during the process of fossilization. If animal have harder body parts, then there are more chances of fossilization. If an organism have soft body parts, then there are less chances that its body become fossilized. So in the fossil record, those parts which are hard like bone and teeth and animal shells are more abundant as compared to the soft body parts. Soft body parts can only be preserved when they come in contact with some suitable medium, as previously we discussed the amber. So the medium defines the preservation. Two factors are very important for fossilization. The first one is escape from immediate destruction, and the rapid burial means the organism is escape rapidly from destruction, means the bacterial decomposition or fungal decomposition must not occur, and the organism should be buried in some suitable medium so it can be converted into a fossil. Environment can be marine environment. In marine, decay is checked by salt water because salt water decreases the mechanism of decomposition. A number of invertebrates which take calcium carbonate from water and build shells. In marine environment, those invertebrate fossils are found which use calcium carbonate for the formation of their shell. Bony fishes, after their death, their shell and skeleton fall at the bottom where they are buried by soft sediments. Bony fishes fossil record is also found. In the fossil, their shells and their skeleton is found, which was buried in the soft sediment. Soft sediments are formed by precipitation of chemicals. The chemicals present in the sea water, particularly the salts, they precipitated in the bottom and become settled down in the bottom, where they are used as a preserving material for the fossilization. On the land, deposition on land is not a continual process but is restricted to certain small areas. Fossils of terrestrial animals are mostly found in lakes, swamps, and deserts. These are the main areas where the fossils can be found. Preserved by desiccation or mummification, that is rapid drying. On land, an organism can be preserved by desiccation, means its all the water contents are lost after soon after its death. Then the organism can be preserved Either it is called as a desiccation, or you can say it as a mummification. The conditions favorable for fossilization on land include escape from destruction and rapid burial. As previously we discussed, that escape from destruction and rapid burial, they are main factors for fossilization on the land. Floods also play a role in the fossilization. Animals are moved along the channel of water and buried in sand and mud and preserved, because flood contain a huge sediments content. So those sediments can cover the dead body of the organism which is escaped from the destruction, and also the sediments bury them under themselves. Similarly, volcanic ash and dust, and in rare cases, even lava may act as preserving material. Bogs and sand deposits. So, bogs are actually the wetlands where the peat and other dead materials of plant bodies are accumulated in the small water quantity along with the sediments. So, hey, these are the ideal areas for the fossilization. These are actually both are semi-fluid substances of sand and asphalt make natural death trap for animal which are quickly preserved and fossilized. Natural petroleum seeps. Large animals are usually trapped by natural petroleum seeps. Even soft parts are preserved. Volatile parts of oil evaporate, leave behind semi-solid pool of asphalt. So here, this asphalt acts as a preserving material in which organism can be preserved as a whole. As in the initial slides, we discuss about the rhinoceros deposits, which is preserved in the oil seeps. Amber. Spiders and insects are preserved in amber secreted by certain trees. Even microstructure is preserved. Here is another diagram of the preserved wasp in the amber, which whose age is about 20 to 16 million years. Similarly, caves and underground caverns. Other sources of fine fossils are caves and underground caverns, which are generally used by carnivores, because carnivores organisms, they capture their prey in the past and then they move toward these caves where they inhabit, and in these caves they eat the soft body tissues of their prey and left behind the hard body parts like bones and teeth, which are fossilized in these caves. Their prey is taken to caves and hard parts are left there, which are preserved due to environmental conditions. Ice and frozen soil. The best medium for preservation is ice and frozen soil, as we discussed in case of woolly mammoths, which is as a whole, whose whole carcass is preserved in that ice. Many complete carcasses are found frozen in ice. Deserts. It is not a good medium for preservation, but in rare instances, nests of dinosaurs were apparently preserved in deserts of Mongolia. So, deserts are not considered as very good preservation for preservation medium for fossilization, but in these deserts there is a rapid dry desiccation, or the body is rapidly dried, which leads to the mummification. So in this way they can act as a medium for fossilization. So this was all about the fossils and fossilization. Thank you. Allah Hafiz.